Stephanie White finally got exactly what she wanted. Caitlin Clark is out, injured, sidelined, and the Indiana Fever head coach is not hiding her relief. After a brutal on-court assault by Alyssa Thomas left Clark nursing a back injury, the Fever announced their franchise cornerstone will miss the game against the Los Angeles Sparks. And instead of outrage, instead of concern, instead of rallying around the player who single-handedly dragged this franchise from total irrelevance into the national spotlight, Stephanie White is getting her dream scenario: a Caitlin Clark-less roster, a Kelsey Mitchell isolation festival, Aaliyah Boston as the hub, the slow, grinding, outdated offensive system that White has been trying to force-feed this team since day one. This is not an injury report, this is a power move. And if you have been paying attention to the patterns, to the substitution decisions, to the press conference body language, to the way this coaching staff has systematically marginalized the most electric talent in women's basketball, you already know what I am about to walk you through. Welcome back, this is Hoop Vision, and today we are documenting the moment the Indiana Fever front office, the coaching staff, and Kelsey Mitchell stopped pretending they wanted Caitlin Clark on this roster at all. Before we get into the absolute catastrophe unfolding in Indiana right now, I need to be clear with you about the stakes here. The Fever are not just sitting Clark for one game because of a minor back tweak. They are testing the water. They are running an experiment in real time to see if they can survive without her. And more than that, they are sending a message to Clark, to the fan base, to the league. The message is this: we do not need you. We were fine before you got here, and we will be fine after you leave. Except that is a lie, a blatant, demonstrable, mathematically provable lie, and the numbers are about to expose every single person involved in this disaster. Let me walk you through exactly what happened. Caitlin Clark left the previous game after taking a hard shot to the back from Alyssa Thomas, a player who has built a reputation on physical, borderline dirty play. Clark was visibly in pain. She walked to the bench, and here is where it gets interesting. According to the transcript, Clark was going to go back into the game. She was ready, she wanted to play through it. But Stephanie White subbed her out, and Clark reportedly had enough. She was done, not just with the pain, done with the disrespect. Done with a head coach who has spent the entire season undermining her, limiting her touches, blaming her for offensive stagnation while Kelsey Mitchell jacks up contested isolation shots, and refusing to build a system that maximizes the talent of a generational passer and scorer. And now the Fever have announced that Clark is out with a back injury, officially, and Stephanie White is about to get exactly what she has wanted from the beginning: a roster without number 22 from Iowa. Let me say that again so it sinks in. Stephanie White never wanted Caitlin Clark. She did not want to deal with the media circus. She did not want to adjust her offensive philosophy. She did not want to hand the keys to a rookie no matter how transcendent that rookie is. White wanted Kelsey Mitchell as her primary option, Aaliyah Boston as the post hub, and a slow, methodical half-court offense that grinds possessions into dust. That is the system she ran before. That is the system she believes in. And Caitlin Clark does not fit that system. Clark thrives in transition. Clark thrives with pace. Clark thrives when the ball is in her hands and the offense is flowing through her vision and her playmaking. Stephanie White does not coach that way. She never has. And she has spent this entire season trying to jam a square peg into a round hole, and now that the peg is injured, she is celebrating. Do not take my word for it. Look at what the Fever are doing. They are rolling out a game day promotion called Inspiring Women Night. Presented by Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. Pre-game on the plaza. Pre-game on the concourse, women's history trivia, t-shirt giveaways, a halftime performance, a culture corner. Val Ackerman is involved. They are throwing every promotional gimmick they can think of at this game because they absolutely know, that nobody is going to show up without Caitlin Clark. The transcript lays it out plainly. They are giving out t-shirts for trivia because nobody is going to go to this game without Caitlin Clark. Nobody. This is a franchise that has stooped to a new low, and they have no one to blame but themselves. Amber Cox, Kelly Krauskopf, Stephanie White, you guys have blown it. You had the golden ticket, you had the player who could have built a dynasty in Indiana, and you are running her out of town. Let me give you the context that makes this even worse. The Indiana Fever just became the first WNBA team to reach 2 million followers on any social media platform. 2 million. The Fever posted about it themselves, celebrating their fan base, calling them the best fans in the world. And you know what? Those are not Fever fans. Those are Caitlin Clark fans. Let us be entirely clear about that. The Indiana Fever were not popping before Caitlin Clark. They were a bottom-tier franchise with no national relevance, no media coverage, no sellout crowds, no social media presence. Clark changed all of that overnight. She brought the eyeballs, she brought the merchandise sales, she brought the ticket revenue, she brought the national television slots. And the Fever front office has spent the entire season reaping the benefits of her star power while refusing to do right by her. They have grown their brand off her back, they have cashed the checks, and now they are testing whether they can keep cashing those checks without her. Spoiler alert, they cannot. The Fever are playing the Los Angeles Sparks, a Sparks team that is missing Cameron Brink, a Sparks team that is missing Kelsey Plum, who is the second leading scorer in the league. The Sparks are trotting out Dearica Hamby, Nika Ogwumike, and a skeleton crew of role players. This is a bad team right now. The Fever should win this game without Caitlin Clark. They should. But that is not the point. The point is that even if they do win, it does not prove anything. You do not get a cookie for beating a trash Sparks team that is missing two of its best players. You do not get to run around claiming the offense is better without Clark because you scraped past a depleted opponent at home. That narrative is garbage, and I do not want to hear it. But here is what I think is really happening. I think Stephanie White is using this game as an audition. She is auditioning a future without Caitlin Clark. She brought in Raven Johnson in the offseason, a defensive-minded point guard who fits White's system. Johnson is going to start tonight. Ty Harris will back her up. Kelsey Mitchell is going to get 24-25 shots, maybe more. Aaliyah Boston is going to be heavily involved in the post, and Stephanie White is going to stand on the sideline and watch her vision of Fever basketball play out. The slow, grinding, ugly style of basketball that White tends to lean toward. That is what we are going to see tonight. And if the Fever win, even against a bad opponent, White is going to use that result as evidence that her system works, that Clark was the problem, that the offense flows better when Mitchell is the primary option. And let me tell you something, if the Fever lose this game, Stephanie White is going to look real stupid. Because this is what you wanted, this is what you asked for. You wanted Caitlin Clark off the floor. You wanted your system. You wanted Kelsey Mitchell as your number one, and now you are going up against a bad team, a team missing its best players, and you have no excuses left. None. If you lose to the Sparks without Clark, that is on you, that is on your coaching, that is on your inability to adjust, that is on your ego. But here is the part that should terrify every Fever fan watching this video. There is a real chance, a legitimate chance, that we do not see Caitlin Clark in a Fever uniform much longer. The transcript floats it. If they end up moving off of Caitlin Clark, there is a chance you do not even see Caitlin Clark with the Fever anymore. That is not speculation, that is a possibility that is being discussed, because all things are on the table right now. Clark left the game hurt. But more than that, she left the game fed up. The transcript suggests that when Stephanie White subbed her out, that was the icing on the cake. Clark had enough. She said, "Screw you," and I do not blame her. I do not blame her at all. Think about what Clark has endured this season. She has been physically brutalized on the court. Alyssa Thomas, a player with a history of aggressive play, just sent her to the sideline with a back injury. And instead of the league stepping in, instead of the referees protecting the star, instead of the coaching staff rallying around her, Clark is being marginalized. She is being blamed for offensive struggles while Kelsey Mitchell takes contested shots. She is being subbed out at critical moments. She is being used as a scapegoat, and now she is sitting on the bench injured while Stephanie White gets to run her experiment. Let me walk you through the organizational failures that led to this moment, because this is not just about Stephanie White. This is about a front office that has been asleep at the wheel. The Fever ownership, led by Herb Simon, does not care about this team. The transcript makes that clear. It is not like he even cares about what is going on with this women's team. The front office has refused to get Stephanie White in order. Lynn Dunn, the former assistant general manager, has been involved in controversies. Information has been coming out about internal dysfunction, and through all of it, the Fever have done nothing to protect Caitlin Clark. They have scammed the fans for money with day-to-day injury designations last year, milking ticket sales while keeping fans in the dark. They have turned the fan base off with their mismanagement, and now they are watching their franchise player contemplate whether she even wants to be here anymore. And you know what the saddest part is? The Fever could have had everything. They could have built a dynasty around Caitlin Clark. They could have hired a coach who understood how to maximize her talent. They could have surrounded her with shooters and defenders who complement her playmaking. They could have protected her from the physical abuse she has taken all season. They could have made her the face of the franchise, the centerpiece of the offense, the player that every decision revolves around. Instead, they hired a coach who resents her. They built a roster that does not fit her. They allowed her to be targeted on the court, and now they are testing whether they can move forward without her. Let me be very clear about something. If the Indiana Fever move on from Caitlin Clark, it will be the biggest organizational blunder in WNBA history. Bigger than any draft miss. Bigger than any coaching hire. Bigger than any trade. You do not let generational talent walk out the door because your head coach is too stubborn to adjust her system. You do not let the player who brought you 2 million followers, who brought you national relevance, who brought you sellout crowds, leave because you want to run a slow, grinding offense through Kelsey Mitchell. That is organizational malpractice. That is fireable. That is the kind of decision that haunts a franchise for a decade. But I am not convinced the Fever front office understands that. I am not convinced Herb Simon cares. I am not convinced Amber Cox and Kelly Krauskopf are willing to make the hard decision and remove Stephanie White. Because removing White would be an admission that they made a mistake. It would be an admission that they hired the wrong coach. It would be an admission that they prioritized continuity and familiarity over maximizing the talent of a generational player. And organizations hate admitting mistakes. They would rather double down. They would rather let Clark walk. They would rather pretend that the system is more important than the player. And that brings me to Kelsey Mitchell, because Mitchell is not innocent in this. Mitchell has been the beneficiary of Stephanie White's favoritism all season. She has taken contested isolation shots while Clark has been relegated to spot-up duty. She has been the primary option in crunch time while Clark has been on the bench. She has been protected from criticism while Clark has been blamed. And now with Clark out, Mitchell is about to get her showcase. She is about to get 24-25 shots. She is about to be the focal point of the offense. And if the Fever win, Mitchell is going to be celebrated. The narrative is going to be that the offense flows better without Clark, that Mitchell is the real star, that Clark was holding the team back. Do not fall for it. Do not let the establishment sell you that narrative, because it is a lie. Kelsey Mitchell is a good player. She is a scorer. She can get buckets, but she is not Caitlin Clark. She does not have Clark's vision. She does not have Clark's playmaking. She does not have Clark's ability to elevate her teammates. She does not have Clark's gravity, the way defenses collapse on her the moment she crosses half court. Mitchell is a complementary piece. She should be the second or third option on a championship team. But Stephanie White wants her to be the first option, and that is a losing formula. Let me give you a prediction, and I want you to hold me to this. If the Fever win tonight against the Sparks, Stephanie White is going to use that result to justify her system. She is going to point to the ball movement, the defensive effort, the contributions from Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell. She is going to say that the offense was more balanced without Clark dominating the ball, and the media is going to run with that narrative. They are going to write think pieces about whether the Fever are better without Clark. They are going to question whether Clark's style of play is conducive to winning. They are going to frame this as a coaching success story, and it will be complete garbage, because beating a bad Sparks team that is missing Cameron Brink and Kelsey Plum does not prove anything. It does not prove your system works. It does not prove Kelsey Mitchell is a #1 option. It does not prove Caitlin Clark was the problem. All it proves is that you can beat a depleted opponent at home. Congratulations, you want a medal for that? But if the Fever lose, and I think there is a real chance they do, Stephanie White is going to be exposed, because she will have lost to a bad team, at home, without any excuses, and the fan base is going to erupt. The Caitlin Clark fans, the 2 million followers who have been supporting this franchise, are going to demand answers. They are going to demand accountability. They are going to demand that the front office make a change. And maybe, just maybe, that will be the catalyst that forces the Fever to do the right thing. But I am not holding my breath, because this organization has shown, time and time again, that it does not prioritize winning. It prioritizes control. It prioritizes ego. It prioritizes preserving the old guard, the old system, the old way of doing things. And Caitlin Clark represents everything the old guard fears. She represents change. She represents a new style of play. She represents a shift in power from the establishment to the players. And the establishment does not want that. They want to keep things the way they have always been. They want coaches to have all the power. They want veterans to be deferred to. They want rookies to know their place. Caitlin Clark does not know her place. She knows her value. And that terrifies them. So tonight, when you watch the Fever take the court without Caitlin Clark, I want you to pay attention. Pay attention to the pace of play. Pay attention to how many shots Kelsey Mitchell takes. Pay attention to whether the offense generates open looks or devolves into isolation. Pay attention to the body language of the players. Pay attention to whether Stephanie White looks relieved or concerned. Because this game is not just about whether the Fever beat the Sparks. It is about whether the Fever are serious about building around Caitlin Clark, or whether they are serious about moving on from her. And if they are serious about moving on, then Caitlin Clark should be serious about moving on too, because she deserves better. She deserves a franchise that appreciates her. She deserves a coach who builds a system around her strengths. She deserves teammates who understand her value. She deserves a front office that protects her. And right now, the Indiana Fever are not giving her any of that. I am going to put my name on this. If Caitlin Clark is still in a Fever uniform at the start of next season, I will be shocked, not because she wants to leave, but because the Fever are going to force her out. They are going to make it so uncomfortable, so dysfunctional, so miserable that she has no choice but to demand a trade or explore her options. And when that happens, when Clark is thriving on another team, leading another franchise to championships, the Fever are going to look back at this moment and realize they had everything and threw it away. 2 million followers. 2 million. And the Fever are about to find out how many of those followers stick around when Caitlin Clark is gone. Because I can tell you right now, most of them will not. Most of them are not Fever fans, they are Clark fans. They are fans of the player, not the organization. And when Clark leaves, those followers are going to leave with her. The sellout crowds are going to disappear. The national television slots are going to dry up. The merchandise sales are going to plummet. And the Fever are going to go right back to being the irrelevant bottom-tier franchise they were before Clark arrived. And Stephanie White is going to be standing on the sideline running her slow, grinding, outdated offense, wondering why the arena is empty, wondering why the media stopped covering the team, wondering why ownership is asking hard questions, and she is going to have no one to blame but herself. So here is my question for you, and I want you to answer honestly in the comments below. Are you rooting for the Fever tonight, or are you rooting for the Sparks? Because I think a lot of people, myself included, are going to be rooting for the Sparks. Not because we hate the Fever, but because we are tired of watching Caitlin Clark be disrespected. We are tired of watching a generational talent be marginalized by a coach who does not appreciate her. We are tired of watching an organization profit off her star power while refusing to build around her. And if the Fever lose tonight, maybe, just maybe, it will force the front office to wake up and make a change. But I am not optimistic, because this organization has shown us who they are, and we should believe them. Drop your most honest take in the comments below. Are the Indiana Fever better off without Caitlin Clark, or is Stephanie White about to be exposed as a coach who cannot win without generational talent bailing her out? I want every opinion that is willing to commit to one side. No hedging, no both sides. Pick a lane and defend it. Hit the notification bell because this situation is about to get a lot worse before it gets better. The tension between Caitlin Clark and the Fever coaching staff is escalating, and the next few weeks are going to determine the future of this franchise. We will see you in the next video.